They pick us up in a van. We get in the back of it. They take us out about 15 minutes. And I could tell it was going towards the direction. I don't know if you're familiar with Fort Bragg.
I'm not.
Okay. There's only one direction you can go to get to the live fire ranges, to get to the drop zones and things like that. So I assume we were headed towards Sicily or Normandy drop zone because that was the direction we were going. The van that they had us in, it didn't have any windows. You couldn't see to the front. It was just a cattle car. And we were joking they were going to take us away, ask him what he did, and we're going to head to Leavenworth for a little while. But we get there, and as soon as the door opened, it looked like a literal dump. There was just trash everywhere. Not like people just leaving stuff out. It was an actual dump. There was a 45-degree concrete door setting out of one of these hills that was directly in front of us, no further than you and I are to each other now. And so we go inside, meet another escort in there, take us to this freight elevator. We get in there, 2 series of buttons, didn't have any writing on it. One of the guys looks at my dad as saying to both of us, keep your head down, your eyes on the heels of the man in front of you, or you'll be shot. And we kind of started giggling because, at least I knew one of the guys was one of his buddies, people that he used to hunt out with. And the other guy, I recognized him as the guy who we went hunting with before. I knew later on that they were both Delta operators. If they were still active, I have no clue.
Do you know their names?
I do.
Do you want to say their names?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
And I'll tell you later why. But yeah, hell no.
So you're seeing familiar faces, which makes you comfortable,
right?
And you don't realize how
the shitstorm I just stepped into. Yeah, absolutely not.
What exactly were you guys there to do?
What he told me was that we were going down below ground to set up a shoot house. An indoor live fire range that was going to be underground. Nothing new. Again, I didn't think anything of it. We had done other shoot houses before with the open tops that can be viewed from above.
Mm-hmm. With a catwalk.
It didn't
even phase you.
It was just another day at work.
Okay.
And I was just there to help him out. But we get down, the doors open, and the first thing I see are these personnel connexes off to my right, the smaller ones, not the larger ones that you see scattered around, or like the ones you'd see on a big rig carrying around. These were the small ones. You would throw your personal gear in to go before you get shipped overseas.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I looked past them, I could see this giant monolithic slab just sitting there. At first, it didn't, once again, it didn't set off any alarms. I didn't think much of it, but the closer we got to it, I could feel this intense vibration. But you couldn't hear anything. It was dead silent in there. The loudest thing was the footsteps that I could hear. And
what did the vibration feel like?
It felt like being at a concert, standing next to one of the speakers, and
without
the bass
the noise
just permeating through your body without the noise.
There was zero noise.
Zero.
Just vibration.
Absolute zero. I could still hear myself breathing over this, but inside, it was such a strange feeling to have. So the closer I got, I was like, well, I got to check this out. So I go down to one knee, faking I got to tie my boots. And then I glance up underneath it, and there's absolutely nothing underneath this damn thing. Nothing holding it up whatsoever.
What did the slab look like?
It just looked like a granite slab, but the sheen on it is what caught my attention the most. It was kind of in between being polished or just completely translucent. There was something behind it, but you could tell it had a smooth surface to us. And the only lights that were on in that hangar that we were in were directly over our head where we were walking through that walkway. And
how big was the slab?
Oh God, it was about 20 foot long It was about 7 foot tall, and I couldn't tell how wide it was. By that point, I was already directly in front of it.
So there's like absolute. It would be impossible for a human to even think about picking something like this up.
Oh, there's no way.
Okay.
Even with the construction that we've done, if you had to pick up something like that to move it anywhere, you would need at least 3-4 cranes.
Oh wow.
Herrera could tell you better.
Okay.
You know, the scope of equipment that it would take just to get it off the ground, not even to transport it to another location. But at this point, I'm still down on my knee, and I'm looking, and behind it, I can see 2 people standing. The only thing I can see is their feet, but there's this boulder directly behind it, and it's on the ground. And I glance over my shoulder, and there's a guy with his back turned to me standing in front of another boulder identical of the other one that I could see up underneath the monolithic slab, and he's just pushing it with one hand. And then I assume he's pushing it in the other direction because it's just freely spinning, no wobble. It's like it was attached to the top and the bottom, and it was paper mache. That's how easily this guy was just spinning it around. Wow. Now, at this point, the escort behind me kicks me in the back, says, "Let's go." So we get up, keep going, go down a flight of stairs. That's when we get to what we call the shoot house. You could see old lanes where they had actually used it before as a live fire range underground. And we'd probably only been down there 20 minutes maybe. Father was taking notes on the dimensions, what we needed, what I guess he understood what they wanted. And I know that we had to replace the walls. It's inconsequential to the story, but we had to replace the rubber on the walls for the shoot house. And in that amount of time, we go back upstairs, exact same route that we took on the way down, and everything's empty when we get to the hangar again. Everything, the 2 boulders in the back, the monolithic slab, all of it is absolutely gone. And we weren't, 100 yards below these guys. We were just 1 flight below them. So whatever it was that they were taking out, we would have heard it. Even the people making noise around it, you would have still been able to hear. But it was dead silent. Like I said before, there was nothing in there. Just our feet, but coming back through, it was absolutely gone. Everything in there just vacated. And at that point,
how much time had passed?
Less than 30 minutes. Less than 30 minutes. Because it didn't take us long to do what we had to do downstairs. And
this was just an assessment. You guys weren't actually... You weren't doing any construction or repairing the walls or anything. It was just this is what we need to do. So there was no equipment that you were operating that would have muffled any sound that was going on above the
right. Taking measurements, layouts. The loudest thing was the tape measure we were using. That, a roll tape, and a notebook. That was it. That was the only thing that. That was the only thing we had down there.
How far away from the slab did you feel the vibration? Did you feel it before you saw it?
No. Whenever when the doors of the freight elevator opened and I looked down, I could see it.
Okay.
It was no farther than from here to that camera pod. 6-7 feet away from me whenever we were walking in. But what made me stop.
It was that close.
Right. What made me stop was as close as we got. I noticed that in front of me with my dad and the other escort in front of him, it was almost like hopping a tripwire. When you're on the trail, you just get it and go. And that was the first thing I noticed. And then the closer I got to it, that intense vibration, and I was just too curious.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand it. I had to figure out what it was. And I really shouldn't have.
When did the vibration stop?
It didn't stop until I walked away.
Okay.
In the center, looking at the top of it, you could see this black box. I've tried to describe it before, and it was extremely difficult. It just looked like a small black GMTK toolbox that a military mechanic would have or carry around. It wasn't very big, and it just had 2 leads that came off of it. And it looked like it was wrapped in a casing that you could almost see something inside of it but it wasn't mechanical. It wasn't moving. It didn't have lights. It was just opaque, but it didn't really seem to serve any purpose. But the other boulder had the same thing on top of it. But
so hold on, I'm sorry. Are you saying you saw 2 boulders and a slab?
Yeah.
And they were all 3 of them at the same time?
The slab itself, the monolithic slab, it was about 12 to 15 inches off the ground.
Okay.
And whenever I knelt down to tie my shoes, I could look through it, and I saw the first boulder that I noticed, and it was just sitting on the ground.
Okay.
And then I glanced back, and that's when I saw the other boulder that had the same black box on top that was being moved around.
And that was levitating.
Yes. So
one boulder levitating, 1 slab levitating, 1 boulder on the ground.
Correct.
Okay. Did the slab have a black box anywhere near it?
The monolithic slab? Yeah. It did.
It did? Where was that located?
It was on the top near the center where I was feeling most of the vibration. It was like the closer I got to it, that's where it was the most intense, at the center of the slab, where that box was on top of it.
Okay. Keep going.
And after that, we go back upstairs the way we came, like I said. We get out of the door to leave. Van's still in the same place. We hop back in. We take that same 15-minute drive back to 18th Airborne Headquarters. They gave us our phone back. I got my ID. And then my dad said something to one of the other guys that I had recognized that he knew, that I didn't know his name. But that guy took everything that my dad had, minus his phones. He took the notes, he took the tapes, everything from him there. And I didn't think much of it at that point. I didn't know if that was something he was going to submit to the Army Corps of Engineer rep that he had, whoever was going to coordinate, or give him the go-ahead to submit a bid to do this project. So to me, again, that didn't set off any bells.